Have you ever felt stuck in your growth journey, wondering how to build resilience in the face of challenges?
Or maybe you're looking to shift your mindset and unlock your full potential.
Well, if you said yes, then you are in the right place.
Welcome to the Stretch Zone. I'm Hannah.
And I am Feds.
And here we explore self-development, nurture resilience, and embrace the mindset shifts that help you grow beyond your limits.
Hello, guys, and welcome back to a new
Fed.
episode. Hi, Anna. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. I've actually got some beautiful sunshine. I'm hoping it sticks around. I'm still in Cleveland. It is snowing a lot this week, so it is cold.
Yeah, I can imagine. Have you explored a little bit the area? Have you seen any nice things around?
Not so much this week because of the snow. It definitely keeps us a little more contained.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a few days off next week. We were hoping to drive all the way to Buffalo to go and see Niagara Falls from the American side because we've got our dog.
Nice.
However, we have way more snow coming, and seeing as we have a Tesla, driving in the snow is definitely not its favorite thing to do. So I don't know what we're going to do next week. Maybe we'll just go to the cinema and go bowling and
Something chill.
Yeah.
And wait for spring to go to Niagara Falls.
Exactly. Well, the moment I drive back to Atlanta, which isn't too many weeks away, I think I'm going to walk straight into summer. But today is all about springtime.
Exactly.
We wanted to talk about, what spring means to us as humans, and also, the idea that spring, and I love it, when I teach yoga, I love bringing seasons into my classes. So I really enjoy watching seasons change, and in particular, springtime really brings this idea of freshness, renewal. For a lot of us, it kind of has this energy about it, and maybe some intrigue about this time of year, depending where you live in the world. That's for sure. And we thought today that we would kind of bring this idea of change into our discussion. And I do believe that you and I are probably, I'm going to use these words, we're pros, or this word, we're kind of pros at change. However, even pros still stumble through change. So why is change so hard? And let's see if we can kind of figure out ways in which to embrace it today. Whenever you think about spring, what words, what images come to mind, Feds?
That's a good question. Flowers. Yeah. That's definitely the very daffodils. That's the first thing that after many years in the UK, I think that's a given. But yeah, no, in general, I think about green. I think about green. Anything that is green, really.
Okay, so fresh, renewal. And spring comes obviously after winter time. And when we think about winter, it's sort of slow and dark and still time of year. And I like to view my year in seasons. And I actually even like to sometimes view my life in seasons. So, we as humans do adapt to the weather and seasons around us, but sometimes there are periods in our life where winter is a hell of a lot longer, and it can last or longer. And sometimes we have this amazing energy and summer is around for a couple of years in our life, and then again it might ebb and flow. So just sort of really love this idea of connecting to nature and connecting to the seasons. And I guess because we're talking at the moment in a time of year where it's just starting to happen, it kind of feels a bit exciting.
Yeah, it does. And I feel that, I don't know about you, but the more getting older, the more I feel the impact of the seasons. Like this year, I felt January lasted like 60 days when it wasn't in reality. It was like a never-ending January. So it actually feels pretty good. Like days are getting longer, there's more sunlight. But as you said, we regularly in life go through periods of stillness.
Yeah.
And at the end of these periods of stillness, we crave this kind of renewal. We want to have something new, exciting, different.
Yeah.
And from the scientific point of view, there is a whole chunk of science that studies renewal and reinvention, and to the point that there is some research that shows that what we call the fresh start effect. So timing here is of the essence. So a lot of people feel much more motivated and they feel a stronger push to change and do something to reinvent their life at the beginning of a determined of a period. So for example, beginning of the week, Monday is the perfect example. I'm going to start going to the gym on Monday, or it could be the beginning of the year. We talked a little bit about this, and we talked about New Year's resolutions and how easy it is to actually fail. And it is a psychological thing. It is real. It exists. Do you feel it? Are you the kind of person who feels like, yes, on Monday I'm going to do it?
Okay, I can no, and I'll tell you that there's
Okay.
one reason for that, because my life hasn't worked Monday to Friday for years and years and years and years and years. Because of my husband's work, he works shift work every single week, is completely different. And right
Mhm.
now, the only way I know what day of the week it is by looking at the calendar, because even my schedule changes every single week. Um,
Mhm.
but I can relate to it, and I can understand in terms of, yeah, the beginning of the year definitely feels like a fresh start. And those times when I did work much more rigid hours, I would agree that feeling like, okay, the beginning of the week, I'm winding up to that activity,
Yeah.
and then sort of the come down the end of the week. And if I
Yeah.
look back at my time when I did work conventional hours, which is many years ago, absolutely, I would have felt like that 100%.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is how I felt. Yes.
So these fresh start effect that we were talking about, that we are talking about, I mean, I said Monday, but for many people, it could also be a month of the year. It could be a specific date. It could be your birthday, for example. It could be a new season. Like in this case, we're talking about spring. And it's important to notice that, of course, we tend naturally to be opposed to change. And we spoke a little bit about that. We tend to resist the change. Our comfort zone is comfortable, as the name suggests. Why would we want to put ourselves into troubles when we can stay, nice and cozy? We are a little bit scared of the unknown. We talked a bit about this a couple of episodes ago. And our brain loves familiarity in general. However, it is important to notice that our brain can change, and it can change throughout our life. So it's something that it's not just when we are young, it's something that happens also when we are a little bit older, if we do it in the right way. So this idea of neuroplasticity, this idea that we have power over our brain, and we can actually change the way we think, the way we react. We can always grow, and we go back to this idea of growth mindset, which is my favorite topic ever. And I could talk about it for ages. And this idea that we can change, we can improve, we can do things differently, it's not easy, but that's also part of the game. And so we're going to talk a little bit here about the feeling that might come up when we are trying to change, or when we are forced to change, because not always this is a choice. It happens because it needs to happen.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that the struggle is the bad side. The struggle is actually part of the whole process. And that's why we are here. That's why we play this game, let's say. And
Yeah.
so, it's the very first thing, as always, the very first thing that we want to notice is how do we feel when we are in a situation where change is required? How do you normally feel when you are in a situation where we need to change? You need to change.
Yeah, absolute resistance, So
Yeah.
I have gone through phases in my life, I believe, where I am more open-minded and flexible as a person. And actually I would generally describe myself as pretty flexible. No pun intended, as I am a yoga teacher and I'm far less flexible than I used to be these days. But I notice that I am less flexible when there's a lot more fear
Mm-hmm.
coming up for me. So fear of the unknown,
Mm-hmm.
probably.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I am much less flexible when maybe one too many things have come up. So too much change. There is too much
Mm-hmm.
change.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone can relate to that, and everyone's change threshold is obviously different. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Again, uh, if I was to describe myself, I would say that I am someone that is able to reinvent, to change, to adapt. However, yeah, there have been moments in my life where it has felt like too much of the world is asking me to change now. And
Mm-hmm.
so then, yeah, there's resistance, closed-mindedness comes in to play in
Mm-hmm.
those moments. Um, and I might even want to hibernate. Um, you asked me how do I feel. I've gone a
Mm-hmm.
little bit
Mm-hmm.
around
Yeah.
the circle here, but yeah, there's a feeling of hibernation or an image that comes up where I want to bury my head in the sand and just, sidetrack myself. So I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm not someone that's necessarily an over planner. My partner, my
Mm-hmm.
husband, is, and he's probably made me plan more. He definitely is an over planner.
Mm-hmm.
I am an
Mm-hmm.
under planner, and we try to meet somewhere more in the middle these days.
Yeah.
Um, so I can see that for some people, over planning or planning can help uh, get control of a situation. Um, but also, if you go too far the other way, it means that you're trying to control it too
Yeah.
much. So then you lose any sense of flexibility. Um, how about you? How do you feel when you feel that resistance to change? What comes up for
Well,
you?
it's interesting that you asked me this
You're
question
the,
because
you're
I'm
the over
actually,
planner, aren't you?
yeah, I am the planner. I used to be a lot more of a planner when I was younger, to be fair.
Okay.
Like I remember going on trips with friends and I am a spreadsheet kind of person.
Yeah.
Like to the point where I would put like we're gonna leave at this time, we're gonna drive X amount of kilometers, we're gonna arrive at this time. And then at some point I was like, why am I doing this? We're gonna get from A to B anyway. So I feel like at some point in my life, I just thought, I don't need this. Let's just go with the flow. And
Uh-huh.
now I am at a stage where I don't really plan too much. I plan enough that to a point where I'm feeling comfortable. But
Yeah.
I think going back to the idea of change that we were talking about, I am now in a situation where I am feeling I'm resisting change,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
We
it's
were talking about this
yeah,
earlier.
yeah, and I think it's because I am back in my hometown. I'm back
Sure.
at home, and so in my mind, going back home always meant going backwards, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I know that this is not the case, obviously, rationally speaking. I know
Yeah.
that. I know that I'm still moving forward. I'm learning new things. But I know that there is something deep down inside of me that doesn't really want to change. And I think now that we're talking about it,
Mm.
I think it's because I don't feel comfortable with adapting to the Italianness and the Italian culture in general. I feel that's something that I'm not really looking forward to.
Mm,
I learned how to live a pretty fast-paced life. I'm very operational. I have deadlines.
yeah,
I'm organized,
yeah.
and to me,
Are you
coming back
telling me
here,
that Italians are none of these things?
oh well, that is the main problem for me right now. That I see people's attitude, reactions, everything is like, yeah, mañana, mañana, domani, domani, tomorrow. And I'm like, no, why tomorrow? Do it now. It drives me crazy. And so I feel like I'm resisting change because I don't see the positive aspect of this thing. When people tell me, "Oh, you should just slow down," I'm like,
Doesn't
"Why do
serve you.
I?" No, it doesn't exactly. Exactly. Yes,
That's a really interesting thing to think about, isn't it? So
it
we
doesn't
resist
serve.
change when it doesn't serve us. We resist change when we have fear of the unknown.
Yeah,
When else do you think people or we have suffered with that resistance to change? I guess what you've also said, just the comfort zone, it just feels super comfy where you are. I mean, that's the opposite of fear of the unknown. It's just like, hey, I'm really comfortable where I am.
yeah.
What's changing this?
Hmm.
Um, when else do people resist change?
I mean, I think to me, it's also a matter of excitement about the
Yeah,
change. Like
yeah, the
something could
motivation
be.
behind it. Yeah, what you gain
Something,
change.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. Like you could be in the middle of something incredibly challenging, but if you are excited about it
Yeah,
because you see the
yeah,
benefits or you see
so true.
how this is something that is making you better,
Yeah, absolutely.
um,
That reminds
improving
me
your
of
life.
moves over the years. We've moved so many times, but most of the time it's felt like as you've said, a forward move. When we moved to the US, I guess it was a forward move because both of us were unemployed and then we could get employment. But unfortunately, we had to start literally from scratch almost when we moved to the US. So it felt like you've just said, it felt like a complete back, like we lost um, in the pandemic, we lost 10 years of our working life. So we've gone back 10 years, basically, the two of us as a couple. So it felt like, oh my goodness, we're back at the bottom of that mountain. So, yes, there was an awful lot of resistance to that change um, that was coming up for us there. So I agree that there's like the motivation of what's on the other side of that, even if it's a really tough one. We've moved before and it's been difficult, but
Hmm.
it's always been probably because of a better opportunity,
Hmm.
better
Yeah,
opportunity. And I can
yeah.
see, yeah,
I think that like being inspired by a change is essential. Like if you are not inspired by what you are going to do,
hmm,
it's gonna be very, very hard to change.
yeah,
And I think that one way, like if people like me are going through a change that no one forced me. Like I decided to move here, which is also probably what pisses me off. Because I'm like, well, no one really forced me. You made this
yeah. You judge
decision.
yourself. You judge yourself for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But then I'm also thinking that I have to remind myself that I am learning on the way
yeah.
how to adapt in the best possible way to the situation. And I'm sure that I'm gonna find a way to actually combine the kind of person I became, the woman I am now, um, with all the things that are happening here in Italy, all the things that I need to adapt to, which
There's
is,
hope out there. I can assure
yeah,
you. And I
yeah.
tell you why, because when I've talked a few times now about this. The first year that we moved to the US was my darkest year of my life mentally. I lost all of my connections. I had to give up yoga teaching. I haven't been able to teach full time since we've moved here because of many reasons. And I've had to totally restart and revamp. And I remember one phrase that I would say over and over in my darkest days, and it's so sad looking back at it, but it's okay. I can look back and be okay about it now. But it was, I'm so weak. I kept on saying that. I'm so weak. How can I not deal with this? I'm so weak. I'm so weak. I'm fragile. I'm weak. And it was just on repeat, the self sabotaging phrase.
Mhm.
Fast forward a year forwards when I've finally figured out my path forwards, which is coaching and bringing that into my life, and actually integrating into the place that I'm now currently living, feeling much better about all of that. Do you know what words come to mind? I am so strong. I'm so
Mhm.
resilient. So, through that difficulty, as we keep saying, there is growth.
Yeah.
Just like, making, if you think of a metalsmith, they're
Mhm.
working on metal. The harder that they bang it, so they heat it up, make it malleable, then they start banging it with a hammer, it becomes stronger.
Mhm.
That piece of metal becomes stronger. So through cracks, through weaknesses, something can become stronger again. And I know that you've got this, even though right now it feels like you're stuck in the muddy, murky waters of it right now.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to pull yourself sometimes head above the water in those
Mhm.
moments.
Mhm. I think that one of the most important things that I need to remember is that apart from the fact that this is not forever,
Yeah.
every change is temporary. What
Yeah.
is new now,
Yeah.
it's gonna be known in a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months. Like nothing is forever, and
Just
that
like
is the
those.
very first thing. Yeah. Another thing is that, and this is true for any kind of change, whether it is wanting to change your job, whether it is wanting to move somewhere else, whether it is, I don't know,
Changing
start a
relate.
new, yeah, yeah, change a relationship, start a new hobby.
Yeah.
Often people do make a mistake and they wait for the motivation, they wait for the push,
Yeah.
they wait to feel motivated, and they tell themselves, "Oh, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I don't feel ready. This is not the right moment." The problem is that the more you keep on telling yourself that it's not the right moment, the less it will become the right moment.
Absolutely.
And so, one thing that I've started doing here is act first, motivation will follow. Because
In-
if I rely only on the motivation, it's just not going to work.
Brilliant.
So I started going to the gym with a friend. I started having like little rituals every day or every week.
Yeah.
I'm trying to bake because it makes
Yeah.
me feel good, and so I spend a lot of time baking. I'm helping my husband with Italian, so we try and do homework together. I'm trying to focus on spending a bit of time with my friends because that's one of the reasons why we came here. And so I'm trying to, as I said, act first. Motivation will follow, and it does.
That's fantastic. I think that's a really awesome piece of advice, is just take an action. Move and actually it's like changing your environment in some ways, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not, we're not saying you have to move to another country here. We're just simply
No.
saying do something different, out of the norm, get yourself out of the headspace. Do you know what that reminds me of? Something that my husband and I have done for years when we're feeling like stuck in the mud, when we feel like we're like stuck in a cycle of whatever it is, um, feeling sluggish, feeling kind of contained, we go for a day trip somewhere. And it doesn't
Hmm.
have to be anything magical. It's just get out of your house and see a new sight, rather than just the mundane, going to the supermarket, going to work, picking the kids up, whatever it is that you're just doing every day.
Hmm.
And in a physical way, pick
Yeah.
yourself up for 2 hours,
Yeah.
go somewhere new. You don't have to spend
Yeah.
any money. Just whatever it is, pick yourself up, go somewhere new. We're obsessed with nature, so it does help that we try to do something like that if we can. And it always changes our mindset. And
Hmm.
we come back feeling just a little, okay, we saw something different today.
Yeah, and you know what? Like now that you were talking about that, it also made me think that some of the people that are scared or that resist change the most are also the people who normally stay away from change. And so
Sure.
they are the same people who are in the same job, they
Mm,
have been in the same job forever, and they
mm,
complain about it. They keep on telling themselves, "Oh, I would love to learn I don't know, how to play the guitar. I would love to do gardening. I would love to learn how to paint." But then they never do it because they are scared of change. They are people who give themselves a lot of excuses and they wait for the motivation before
yeah.
taking action. And
Yeah.
so the result is that they are in what is not even a comfort zone anymore because they feel demotivated, they feel sluggish, they feel uninspired, they feel stuck in this repetitive pattern that it's always the same. And so, of course, if you are in a repetitive pattern and every day is the same, you're not going to wake up one day thinking, oh, yeah, today I'm just going to go in the countryside and go on a little adventure. No, you need to intentionally tell yourself, I'm going to go on a little adventure today and let's see what happens. But when you start doing it, baby steps, little
Yeah.
steps, it could be, I'm going to go and do a Zumba class,
Yeah.
just a random thing, or I'm going to go and do a yoga class, I'm going to go and do a Pilates class. Like I'm doing CrossFit now, me, out of like all of me. I am the least, I couldn't even believe it when I actually signed up. But you know what? I tried. Like I have like 10 friends who are going to the same gym. So I'm
Okay.
thinking,
You're like, right,
fine. Yeah, I
gotta
know. They're on it, man. Like they have a WhatsApp group. They text each other every day. They're like, oh, I'm going to go to this class. I'm going to go to the other class. And I'm like, okay, I can do this. I mean, I'm dead at the end of the lesson,
yeah.
but it's actually pretty motivating. I'm putting myself in the position to be motivated.
Yeah, amazing. And that's the other thing right there is another tip. Don't just do it all on your own. Get a buddy to help motivate you, especially at the beginning. If this is if you want change. This is
Mhm.
people who actually want change. Because there's
Yeah.
some people that are very happy with no change. You go do your life, enjoy it. And sometimes
Hmm.
I'm jealous of those people that have absolutely no interest in changing their life at all.
But you know what? I really struggle to believe that there are people who don't need change at
Genuinely
all. I don't
don't.
know. But please, like people, whoever
Let us
is
know
listening.
if you're
Yeah,
really happy.
exactly.
No
Yeah.
change. Or I want to have some tips from you how to just stay
How?
still.
How how do you live such a life? Like I really struggle to because I'm thinking I don't know, maybe it's me. Maybe, I mean, I don't want to say that I have a problem, but I'm thinking, is there going to be a time? Is there ever going to come a time when I will not
Happy
feel
to
the,
be.
yeah, where I will just be happy to just be where I am without the need to change anything, without the need to we are all different and we are all amazing in our own way, but I just don't understand how is it possible. So please let us know. But I think there are a lot of different tips and ideas here. So move your body, do something, try and get out like of
Change
your
your environment.
exactly comfort zone to change your environment. Act first.
Yeah, I like that. Act
Act
first.
first.
Yeah.
And I know like one of the hardest things, and I've been talking about this with some of my clients, is that they're always like, yeah, but maybe I'm going to do it. Maybe I'm going to do it. I think I will do it. And I would invite everyone to be very careful. Be careful with the words you're using because the language, what you tell yourself, really makes a whole lot of a difference. So, the exact moment when you say, yeah, maybe I'm going to do it. Oh, I think I'm going to do it. You're not going to do it.
Yeah, I
You're,
am.
it's simple as that.
And that's what we're taught when we're with our coaching clients. We're always talking about using the positive present language. So instead of saying I am going to, we always try to direct our clients to use language such as I am doing this.
Yeah,
I am
exactly.
already doing it. So it's really bringing yourself into the present visualization of this has already been accomplished.
It's a plan. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mm,
So I think there's a bunch of different things. Knowing that, of course, as we said at the very beginning, awareness is essential. If you are the kind of person who resists change, and you know that you and change are not friends,
yeah,
you need to know, because a lot of people don't even realize, and they feel frustrated, and they come to us, they come to me, and um, they expect a completely different reaction, because they feel frustrated. They're like, oh, why am I not the kind of person who can just wake up one morning and leave everything and move to the other side of the world? And I'm like, well, because maybe that's too much for you. Maybe you are not the kind, maybe that's not you. That's not what you like. In the same way, I am not the kind of person who is able to stay in the same job for 20, 30 years and live in the same house for forever, Like, make sure that you respect what are
I,
your boundaries and who you
that
are.
just reminds me, I still joke, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
Mm,
I still use this phrase with people, and I've been a yoga teacher for 13 years, now a life coach. And I'm really planning on being these things still for a lot longer. But who knows? Who knows where it evolves to, and what I become. It's it's quite um, freeing to me to
yeah,
have this ever evolving status of mind. It
yeah,
allows for growth, it
yeah.
allows for change.
Yeah, I think it's like extremely important that we remember that our brain can change. So
Yes.
if right now you are scared of change, it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be like this forever, especially if you are in a situation where change is needed. And I'm talking
Yeah.
about people who are in a job that doesn't pay enough, if you are
Yeah.
in a relationship that doesn't make you happy, or
Yeah.
worse. Um, there are ways to learn and change. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that it's easy.
No.
I'm not saying that it's not challenging, but it can be done. If where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah. And just reminding yourself that there are seasons to life, not just through the year, but there's seasons to life. And I really wanted to bring in, if you don't mind, I'd love to bring um, a little meditation in to end our discussion today that hopefully re-energizes but also brings ourselves into a place of reflection, as we head into springtime on a well, it depends where you are in the world and when you're listening to this, but as we head into springtime, really kind of utilizing that springtime energy. How does that sound?
Yes, I'm happy. I'm ready.
All
Let's
right.
do this.
So, if you're listening at home right now, I wouldn't mind if you could bring yourself into some stillness. If you're on the move, that's a bit tricky if you're driving, obviously, but maybe you'll pause this and come back to it. Those of you who are somewhere nice and still, if you're sitting down, make sure that your feet are evenly placed. So try to uncross your legs. Sit up nice and tall. If you've got a backrest to the chair, you can lean back or bring yourself a little away from it. And then choose where you might want to bring your hands. I quite like to bring palms to face down to feel grounding. But if you need a little more energy, turn those palms and face the palms upwards. And then if you're comfortable closing the eyes, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, just lower the gaze. Keep the gaze nice and easy. And you might just wiggle through the nose, through the jaw, and then just take an exhale through the mouth. And then take a breath in through the nose. And then feel the breath leave through the lips. And again, one more in through the nose. Maybe you notice the breath touch the inside of the nostrils. And perhaps you notice a different temperature of the breath as you breathe out through the lips. Start to notice the lungs filling up as you breathe in. Feel a sense of expansion. And as you exhale, see if you can let go of any more tension that you might be holding in the shoulders, in the hips, and the thighs. Spring is a time of renewal, of waking up, stretching, and embracing new possibilities. Imagine yourself as the earth after a long winter, slowly warming under the gentle touch of the sun. Feel a sense of awakening within you, stirring, fresh energy, ready to bloom. And as you breathe in again, invite this sense of growth. And on your next exhale out, let go of anything that feels stagnant. Now picture yourself as a seed nestled into the soil, safe and held. You have everything you need within you: the wisdom, the strength, the potential to grow. With each breath, feel yourself expanding, reaching upwards, evolving. What new beginnings are calling to you? What parts of yourself are ready to bloom? Take a moment now to plant an intention, something that you wish to nurture and to grow. Perhaps it's more self compassion, a creative project, or a habit that supports your well being. Trust that just as nature knows how to evolve and flourish, so do you. Once again, take a purposeful deep breath in, welcoming renewal, energy, and possibility. And a grounding exhale. Consciously bring awareness to your surroundings by perhaps wiggling fingers or toes, opening the eyes and just allowing the light to enter. Thank you for joining today's discussion on renewal growth. And it's also our final podcast of this series. We will be back. Not too long. We haven't exactly decided our first day back, but there's going to be plenty more of growth, self-discovery that we will be chatting away to each other about for the rest of the year.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for being here. Definitely come back to see us again. We're gonna have some guests the next series, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And we can't wait to share with you everything that we're gonna talk about. So we also welcome, as always, your feedback. So if there is anything that you would like to share, anything that you would like us to talk about. Let us know. Let us know. You can find us on YouTube, as always, the Stretch Zone podcast. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Instagram, as always, the Stretch Zone podcast underscore. No, the Stretch Zone underscore podcast. There we go. Got it right. But thank you so much, Hannah. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been really fun, Feds. I really appreciate your time, your thought, your energy. Thank you.
And see you soon, guys.
Take care.
Wrapping up today's episode, remember, you don't have to face change alone.
If you'd like to connect or learn more about working with us individually, reach out to us through our Instagram account at thestretchzone_podcast, or find our emails in the footnotes to this episode. We're here to support you on your journey, each in your own way.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of The Stretch Zone. If today's discussion resonated with you, remember to subscribe, leave a review, and share the episode with anyone who might benefit. Until next time, keep stretching beyond your comfort zone.